My name is Shir Freibach, and I'm a theatre director, dramaturg and translator, and I've been designing and delivering participatory arts projects in Europe since 2013. So, applied or participatory arts is actually tricky to define because the field grows with every new project idea that a practitioner comes up with. One way to define it would be that where theatre or any performing arts has artistic ambitions, for example, exploring human experience, developing new creative languages, and challenging widespread views, applied theatre also has social ambitions, such as enabling greater cohesion in communities, empowering marginalized people, and generally working towards a more inclusive, egalitarian society. So whereas performing arts are usually created by professionals, confined to dedicated arts buildings and shown to ticket buyers, applied arts projects are created by a mixed group of professionals and community members and take place anywhere communities can be engaged. So in this video, we'll explore the principle and values of invitation in the context of applied theatre practice. We hope this will be useful for anyone training or working in the participatory arts and hopefully interesting to anyone who wishes to explore this field. So let's say you're planning a project. You either saw something that inspired you to create a project, like during a visit to a care home, seeing some young people in public square, or reading about people in a refugee centre. Or it could be a commission from a charity, a school, a local council, and so forth. So a need was identified, a project is being planned, and you and your project partners are planning something that you hope will be relevant and useful to your intended participants, engage with the wider community, and enable the desired social change. You have set your artistic and social goal, and you are ambitious. As the spark of participatory projects is usually a difficult situation in the real world among humans within a community, the values that inform this practice are hugely important. Typically, they will include inclusion, empowerment of the disadvantaged, and addressing inequality, as well as joy, creativity, and of course, participation. As with any project, the successful execution of a participatory arts project depends heavily on research, planning, and preparation. We have a separate video dedicated to preparation. Please check it out. So let us say you have done your research, planned the outline of your project, have your team, partners, funding, and timeline all in place, and you are ready to go. You now know why you're doing the project, who you seek to engage, for example, young mothers, people with dementia, supermarket workers, etc., what you will be doing, so recording and reenacting stories of immigration with new community members, spoken word workshops with young people, creating flash mob dances with elders and primary school children, and where and when you will do this, in a prison, a library, a local park, and so why, who, what, where, and when are all set in place. All you need now is for your intended participants to join in. It is important to remember that because of the inclusive and ethical nature of participatory practice, you should be a meticulous planner, but one who's also capable of adaptability and flexibility, because this project you're about to do has never been done before by you with those specific actual participants, and you may find out that some elements need to be adjusted according to your participants' needs and/or wishes. How do you get people to join? This is often a source of great concern. The success of a project is heavily dependent on its intended participants, their engagement and the quality of their experience. How many join? Are they staying for the duration of the project? And are they experiencing something that is of value and use to them? How can you know what activities your intended participants and community will join and enjoy? Use research, experience, intuition, and vision. We will look at the notion and practice of invitation on 3 levels: overall project, project sessions, and within an individual session. How do you invite participants to join a project? Essentially, it's an act of advertising, letting people know that this project will be happening. Who is it for instance, taxi drivers, what it entails, making a show out of their own stories, where and when, 9 weekly 3-hour meetings or workshops at a local library that will culminate in 2 shows in an open park theatre, and don't forget how to join. So, how to register, does it cost anything to participate in, will there be tea and coffee and biscuits, etc. As with any communication, things can go wrong. Primarily, message not received, message misunderstood, and message not accepted. This is where research, proactivity, creativity, flexibility, and perseverance come to play. Message not received. Make sure you are using the relevant means of communication and the right language. Advertise in physical locations and across social media where your target audience is at. Taxi drivers, put a poster and some leaflets at their dispatch office. Young rappers, in a club, school, youth club, and online. Muslim women, don't advertise in local pubs. Think how to best represent what you're inviting people to experience, in text and in image. Also, remember that speaking directly to people is always advised. Go out, speak to people, let them know about the project, invite them, and listen to their reactions, comments, and concerns. Message misunderstood. Your research and experience, yours and your project partners, will help you know what languages to use. I mean actual languages. So if your intended participants are, for example, new community members who originated in Serbia, make sure your invitations are written in a language that they will understand. Keep invitations clear, friendly, and inviting. And don't oversell. Don't tell the taxi drivers you're inviting to your project that it will make them Broadway stars, unless that is within the remit of the project, of course. Message not accepted? Sometimes, despite your best efforts, you went out to the community, liaised with local and grassroots organizations to find routes into a community, you spoke to people and also advertised by various means. Very few people want to participate in the project. Your first session is about 2 weeks away and there is little interest in joining. This can happen, and it is absolutely not the end of the road for your project. All it means is that either your offering, so the details of the project, the activities it offers, and the time and place it is due to happen at, are somehow unappealing to the people you wish to engage, or that your communication, so the details of your invitation, its language, message, design, and the ways, means, and locations in which you distributed your invitation, both need to be re-examined. This is a challenging experience. It's like cooking a dinner. No one seems to want to come and eat. But it is also potentially hugely beneficial to the project because it will force you to learn even more about the people and community you wish to engage. So, your project is on its way. Typically, it will take place during weekly sessions across a predetermined time period, for example, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. over 10 weeks. The first challenge is, of course, to get people to join the project, but as I mentioned before, the issue of invitation does not stop there. First, you would want to ensure that the participants who already joined the project will do so and stay for its entire duration. Some things that can help to achieve this are space. The space where the project sessions or workshops take place must be accessible, safe, physically and in every other respect, and comfortable. Consistency. If you want people to come every week, make sure the time and place of the activity are consistent and are clearly known to all. Communication. Make sure all know at the end of each session where and when the next session will take place, and establish communication routes for the duration of the project between all involved. Curation. If you want people to not drop out midway through the project, it would be helpful to curate or plan the sessions as a journey that gives a sense of progression and achievement. Plenty of applied theatre projects culminate in a product of sorts, such as a show, a performance, or an event. In this case, it is usually easier to maintain participation over time because there is a clear goal or achievement the group is working towards. The final level we want to consider is that of the individual session within a project. So people have joined the 10-week project and they're attending each week's session quite regularly. But now it's a new session. You're in the room with your group of participants, you're all settled and ready to go, and you explain what the first activity will be. For instance, working in groups of 3, participants are invited to create a mini musical number that's made up of their names. Looking around the room, you can clearly see who has happily embraced the invitation to do so, who is somewhat hesitant, and who remained motionless or otherwise declined the invitation of the activity. Now, there could be any number of reasons why people may opt out of an activity, whether partially or altogether. Quite a lot is dependent on the practitioner's facilitation abilities, an incredibly important subject which we're not covering in this video. But there are some other things to consider to help ensure that your invitation successfully extends to each particular activity within a given session. Session program. Firstly, make the session relevant and fun. Think of the flow of each session and include time for welcoming people, breaks, and a proper ending. Facilitation. Find your voice as a facilitator. Be open, ethical, well prepared, inclusive and passionate, and remember why you are in the room. Barriers to participation. During planning of a session and during its course, be mindful of possible physical, emotional, and mental barriers that may prevent your participants from partaking and fully engaging. Flexibility. Come into a session with a clear plan of activities, but allow for flexibility. For example, do not cut short a meaningful experience in the room just because it takes longer than it says in your plan. Which brings us to the last element, listening. Each session, what you planned and prepared in advance, possibly on your own, will become a reality in a room full of people. Participatory theatre is invested in equal agency to all. Being the facilitator does not mean you are the teacher or the ruler in the room. The session space belongs equally to everyone who chose to be there, in accordance with the agreed framework and rules of conduct that the group had agreed on at the outset. So, thank you for watching. We have made this video as a unique invitation for you to consider the very idea and praxis of invitation. We thank you for accepting it and hope it was useful. Lastly, we'd like to invite you to consider each action within your practice as an invitation. We believe that in doing so, much can be discovered and gained.